In the summer of 2001, a college student facing relationship strain, academic pressure, and personal uncertainty vanished after a night of partying. Torn between repairing a troubled romance and pursuing newfound freedom, she spent the evening drinking and socializing with new acquaintances. Surveillance footage tracked her movements through bars and apartments, showing her visibly intoxicated and increasingly vulnerable. She was last seen barefoot at dawn, walking alone into the dark streets of a college town. Despite massive search efforts, national media attention, and a list of persons of interest, no trace of her was ever found. Her family later filed lawsuits against those who last saw her, alleging negligence, but the cases were dismissed due to lack of evidence. Years later, the trail remains cold, and the mystery of what happened to her still lingers. Welcome to Without a Trace. I'm your host, Jalyn. Every file holds a mystery. Every story deserves to be heard. This is Lauren's story. Lauren was born on January 17, 1991, to Charlene and Robert Spierer. She was born and raised in Scarsdale, New York, an affluent town north of New York City. Lauren was a strong student, accustomed to receiving A's and B's. She graduated from Edgemont High School in 2009. When she was 17 years old, Lauren was a counselor in training at a Jewish sleepaway camp called Camp Towanda, located in the mountain town of Honesdale, Pennsylvania. It was there she met 19-year-old Jessie Wolfe. Jessie was a counselor at the camp who Lauren found sweet, mature, and endearing. Counselors were forbidden from dating trainees, so Lauren and Jessie would sneak out at night together, keeping their budding romance a secret. While at Camp Towanda, Lauren met various other future Indiana University students who would later become her circle of friends when she enrolled at the university in 2009, including Jay Rosenbaum. Jessie lived in Long Island, New York, and after camp ended, he would regularly drive an hour to visit Lauren. Her parents welcomed him into their home. When Lauren received her acceptance to Indiana University, she gladly accepted, excited to be closer to Jessie. After a blissful beginning and 2 years together in Bloomington, Jessie and Lauren's relationship began to crack. In the months leading up to Lauren's disappearance, the two began to regularly argue. Jessie wanted commitment, and he'd broached the topic of marriage. He wanted to care for Lauren and protect her. While Lauren loved Jessie, she was feeling increasingly trapped and began to desire freedom. In the evening she disappeared, Lauren had plans to get together with Jessie, but a handsome newcomer, vying for her attention, wanted her to meet him at a party. That evening, her phone lit up with text messages from both men, each trying to set plans with her. Lauren had a decision to make. Should she repair things with her boyfriend or take a chance at freedom? This decision wasn't the only thing on Lauren's mind. Down in Alabama, her grandmother was suffering from a debilitating arthritic condition, and Lauren knew she didn't have much time left. She had also received a phone call that morning from the university informing her that she would have to attend a disciplinary hearing for an allegation of plagiarism. With much on her mind, Lauren grabbed a bottle of wine and headed down the hall to a friend's dinner party. It was a casual get-together with a few friends gathering for a homemade dinner while they watched the NBA Finals. Lauren wasn't big into basketball, so she sat on the couch scrolling her phone while an argument between her and her boyfriend continued. The spring had been a tough time for the couple. Lauren spent her spring break volunteering in Israel on behalf of the Jewish National Fund. The week abroad had proved freeing for Lauren. When she returned to Bloomington, she floated the idea of a semester abroad studying fashion in Europe. But Jessie didn't share Lauren's enthusiasm about the idea. He complained that he had already given up his own opportunity to study abroad for her so they could spend her freshman year together. Lauren and Jessie continued texting back and forth until he went to bed. Lauren had made her decision. She wanted a taste of freedom. On Friday, June 3, 2011, at 12:30 a.m., Lauren left her apartment with her new friend, David Ron. The pair went to Jay Rosenbaum's apartment, and it was there Lauren met up with Corey Rossman, Jay's neighbor. At 1:46 a.m., surveillance footage captured Lauren entering Kilroy's sports bar with Corey. Lauren was described by friends as being confused, seemingly out of it, and not herself. It was evident that Lauren was inebriated. She had fallen more than once, and one guy even had to carry her down the street. Regarding Lauren's level of intoxication, Jay witnessed Lauren consuming alcohol, cocaine, and pills that evening. Lauren had a rare heart condition, long QT syndrome, that added to the danger of drug use. Lauren had a history of drug and alcohol use. Her friends and Jesse told police that she used drugs in addition to alcohol on the night leading up to her disappearance. Jesse's mother alleged that Lauren was asked to leave the summer camp where she met Jesse years earlier because of her drug use. On September 2, 2010, 9 months before her disappearance, Lauren was arrested on charges of public intoxication and illegal consumption. After her disappearance, police found a small amount of cocaine in her room. Lauren remained at the bar until 2:27 a.m. when she left with Corey Rossman. Earlier that evening, Lauren had taken off her shoes when she walked out onto the bar's sand-covered patio. When Lauren left the bar, she left behind her shoes and cell phone. Corey walked Lauren the short distance to her apartment complex. At 2:30 a.m., surveillance footage sees Lauren entering the Smallwood Plaza apartments where her residence is located. A passerby noticed her level of inebriation and asked if she was okay. While at Smallwood Plaza, Corey was involved in a confrontation with a group of young men. Corey said he was hit on the head, splitting his lip and affecting his memory. Shortly after, Lauren and Corey are seen on surveillance footage leaving the apartments and entering an alley at 2:48 a.m. Security cameras mounted on nearby apartments show the pair exiting the alley at 2:51 a.m. and walking toward an empty lot. Lauren's keys and purse were found along this route through the alley. Lauren and Corey arrived at Corey's apartment shortly after. Michael Beth, Corey's roommate, was at the apartment. Corey himself was very intoxicated, stumbling around and even vomiting on the carpet on the way up the stairs. Michael escorted Corey to bed, then tried to persuade Lauren to sleep over for her own safety, but Lauren wanted to return to her own apartment. At 3:30 a.m., Michael phoned his neighbor, Jay Rosenbaum, wanting him to take care of Lauren. Michael said that Lauren was attempting to get him to drink with her at her own apartment. She eventually went to Jay's apartment. At Jay's apartment, he questioned Lauren on a bruise under her eye. Lauren told Jay she didn't know how she got the bruise. It's presumed she sustained the bruise during a fall earlier that evening. 2 calls were placed from Jay's phone shortly before Lauren is reported to have left. Jay said Lauren placed both calls, one to David and one to another friend. Neither picked up and no messages were left. According to Jay, Lauren left his apartment at 4:30 a.m. This is the last reported sighting of her. He watched Lauren head south on College Avenue, still barefoot, until he lost sight of her on the intersection of 11th Street and College Avenue. Several hours later that morning, Jesse sent Lauren a text. He received a reply from an employee at the bar. That afternoon, Jesse reported Lauren missing. Lauren's parents arrived in Bloomington on June 4th to search for their daughter. The ground search began on June 6th. Hundreds of volunteers began the ritual of 3 daily searches for Lauren. The next day, Lauren's disappearance reached national coverage, airing on NBC's Today, ABC's Good Morning America, and the CBS Morning News. Lauren's parents took part in a news conference at the Bloomington Police Department, something that would become a daily occurrence in the first weeks of the investigation. The Bloomington Police Department executed a search warrant on Lauren's apartment building, Smallwood Plaza, seeking security footage. They stopped vehicles at College Avenue and 11th Street, where Lauren was last seen, asking drivers if they were in the area at the time of Lauren's disappearance. Based on a tip, police divers searched Lake Monroe on June 8th, but the search turned up nothing. Authorities announced they were investigating Kilroy's, the bar Lauren visited the night she disappeared. As the days passed, police announced tips were pouring in, but they had no suspects. Though they did have 10 persons of interest, including Corey and Corey's roommate Michael Beth, Lauren's boyfriend Jesse, and her new friend David Ron. Jesse helped look for Lauren in the initial days after her disappearance, but then he quickly left town. On June 13th, the searches for Lauren were scaled back from 3 per day to 2. On June 19th, after a report of an unusual odor in the woods, the Indiana State Police extended the search for Lauren into the woods, but searchers found nothing. By the end of June, the search for Lauren had lost its steam. Daily searches previously turned up thousands of people, but now fewer than 50 people turned out. Police finished interviewing all of Lauren's friends and family and announced the professional searches around Bloomington would end. Along with this, the Bloomington Police Department held their last daily news briefing with a clear message: the trail is cold. On August 16, 2011, authorities conducted a 9-day search of the Sycamore Ridge landfill in Pimento. The landfill is where trash from Bloomington is hauled after a stop at a transfer station. The Bloomington Police Department, the Indiana University Police Department, and the FBI sorted through 4,100 tons of trash, searching for clues, but found nothing. As the months passed by, several remains were found around Illinois and Indiana, each one bringing a renewed hope that an answer was close. But each time, investigators quickly hit dead ends when a coroner determined the remains did not belong to Lauren. As clues went cold and leads dried up, Lauren's parents took matters into their own hands. In June 2013, they filed lawsuits against Corey Rossman, Michael Beth, and Jay Rosenbaum, alleging that they supplied Lauren with alcohol after she was already visibly intoxicated. Then, they neglected to ensure she returned home safely, which likely resulted in her death. In December 2015, the judge dismissed the lawsuit against Michael after determining that he had no duty of care for Lauren. Shortly after, in October 2014, the judge also dismissed the lawsuits against Corey and Jay, finding there could be any number of theories as to what happened to Lauren, and without evidence to prove these theories, it would be impossible for a jury to determine if what happened to Lauren was a natural and probable cause of her intoxication. In April 2015, Lauren's case once again reached national coverage after the Bloomington police announced they were investigating a possible link between Lauren's disappearance and the murder of another Indiana University student, Hannah Wilson. Hannah was last seen by friends around 1 a.m. on Friday, April 24, 2015, when they put her in a cab to go home after a night of drinking at Kilroy's, the same bar that Lauren visited on the night she disappeared. The cab driver dropped her off at her Bloomington home. Sometime within the next few hours, she was killed. Her body was found Friday morning in a rural area about 30 minutes from her home. A cell phone belonging to Daniel Messel was found near her feet. Daniel had a violent criminal history and was sentenced to 8 years in prison in 1996 after pleading guilty to battery with a deadly weapon and battery causing serious bodily injury. Daniel was convicted of killing Hannah. In July 2015, it was concluded that the two cases were unrelated. On January 28, 2016, the FBI and the Bloomington Police Department investigated a property in Martinsville, approximately 20 miles north of Bloomington. Investigators were following up on leads and tips received regarding Lauren's disappearance. The property was connected to a man, Justin Waggers, who resided there with his mother and stepfather. Investigators searched the property using cadaver dogs. The dog alerted in a barn, but no evidence was found. Investigators also towed a white truck belonging to Justin from the property, which authorities said would be tested for DNA. Justin has not been named as a suspect. Justin, a registered sex offender, has a long history of public indecency arrests. Police continue investigating Lauren's disappearance, looking into every tip and lead they receive. The police have not ruled out the possibility of a stranger abduction, but Lauren's parents do not believe her disappearance was a random abduction. Lauren's parents believe she is dead. Based on her level of intoxication, they felt it was likely she was drugged while at the bar. The family has voiced suspicions about the men she was with that evening as well as Jesse, since they refused to take polygraph tests and retain lawyers soon after Lauren's disappearance. The men responded that they have taken privately administered polygraphs as well as ones from the FBI. They retained attorneys as they do not trust the Bloomington police. A private investigator hired by Lauren's family doubts that a fatal drug overdose could be enough motive to hide her death. Thank you for listening to Without a Trace. I hope you enjoyed our deep dive into Lauren's disappearance. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe and follow Without a Trace on social media. And join me next week as I dive into another case.